Formula One activity returns for the final week of preseason, which means it's the last chance for teams to test and gather information before putting the cars up to speed when the season starts at the Australian Grand Prix. And today, although it has been a generally calm day, several teams have experienced problems, others have started to push the accelerator a bit more, and overall, this session ends with few incidents but with more revealing data from each of the teams on the grid. The fourth day of preseason has ended, and ladies and gentlemen, for us it's time to see what all the teams have done this Wednesday of the final week of Formula One preseason. Cadillac still hasn't been able to experience a trouble-free day, and this time, problems have shown up again in this last week of preseason. In the morning, Checo Perez was set to drive, but a suspension problem delayed him by an hour and a half. And later, they lost another hour or so due to a failure in one of the sensors, and after going back to the garage, having completed only 2 installation laps, once these problems were fixed, he was able to go out and do a few laps, especially in the last 30 minutes when he could run laps to finish his day before handing the car over to Valtteri Bottas, who drove in the afternoon and didn't have much more luck either. His running wasn't outstanding either, completing less than 40 laps. He focused on short programs and a long stint, and in the end, they finished the day with few laps completed, just 59. And the best time for the American team was set by Valtteri Bottas, with a time of 1-36.798, which leaves them at the bottom of the table. So overall, it has been a very unproductive day for Cadillac, which still hasn't. And now we just have to wait and see if on Thursday and Friday they can be more productive and get more out of the preseason. Because time is running out to get that car as ready as possible. For Aston Martin, things are still looking like a real nightmare and they keep experiencing problems. In the morning, Alonso was in charge of driving the car and it seemed like the mileage could increase, but when Alonso took the car, he looked nervous. He was sliding a lot in the corners and the car seemed pretty unstable. However, after 2 hours into the session, due to an apparent hydraulic problem with the car, Alonso went back to the pits and did not come out again for the rest of the morning session, leaving Alonso with only 28 laps completed in this session. In the afternoon, it was Stroll's turn, but things didn't improve at all. He had very limited mileage, just 26 laps since while the Canadian was driving, he apparently had a problem with the engine. And when he was turning to face turn number 11, he ended up spinning and got stuck in the gravel trap after completing 7 laps. And causing the only red flag of the day due to an incident, he managed to return to the track with just under an hour and a half left to finish the session. But he was only able to complete those 26 laps mentioned earlier, giving Aston Martin a very poor mileage of just 54 laps on a very dark Wednesday, which continues to give bad omens for the British team ahead of the first race of the year. They end the day with a best time of 1:35.974, and on a positive note, they've been able to go a bit faster than they had in previous days. But on the negative side, there is still a lot to resolve for a team from which much more was expected in this 2026. Today has been a pretty calm day for the Haas team, who, despite doing quite a few laps, took things pretty easy this Wednesday of preseason. In the morning, Combe was in charge of driving the car, following a program focused on stints, mostly short ones, and on his own, he completed 65 laps before handing over to Oliver Burman in the afternoon. The Briton, for his part, completed a total of 42 laps, generally following a program similar to Ocon's, and finished with the team's best time, clocking a 1:35.778, so Haas ends the day with a total of 107 laps, which is slightly less than in other sessions of this preseason, but they still have good mileage and apparently no major reliability issues. Racing Bulls enjoyed another productive session where their drivers were able to rack up a lot of mileage. In the morning, the one in charge of driving the car was Arvid Lindblad, who completed many long stints during his time on track, running a total of 75 laps, making him the driver with the most laps in the morning, until, in the afternoon, it was the New Zealander Liam Lawson who took over the wheel of the single-seater. His plan, on the other hand, focused on short driving stints, but he managed to add 61 laps, giving Racing Bulls a total of 136 laps overall, both for the team and the Red Bull engine. Lawson ended the day with the team's best time, clocking a 1:35.778. So, it was a very positive day for the team, which, despite some braking overshoots or strange movements in the car, was able to complete many laps and keep gathering valuable information in the process. Audi continues to show improvement in every preseason session, and today they once again enjoyed a productive day with high mileage. In the morning, Hulk was in charge of driving the car, carrying out several long-run programs with a lot of work on the hard tire, and during his stint, he completed 49 laps before Bortoleto took over the car in the afternoon, where the Brazilian focused on a similar program with a lot of work on long runs and use of the hard tire. Gabi, on his own, completed 71 laps, progressively improving his lap times and managing to set the 10th fastest time of the day with a lap of 1:35.263. With this, Audi reached a total of 120 laps just today, in another positive day for the Germans with a lot of mileage that will be valuable heading into the first race of the year. In the past weeks, this time Alpine was able to run without reporting any problems, and both Gasly and Colapinto were able to spend a lot of time on track. Gasly took the car in the morning, and there was a lot of work on long runs, working with the medium tire, managing to complete 61 laps. Before handing over to Colapinto, whose program was very similar, focused on long runs, with a lot of work on the medium tire. Stints of more laps, and in the end he finishes with 60 laps added, giving Alpine a total of 121 laps, and where Colapinto ends up with the team's best time with a record of 1:35. So it's been a positive day for Alpine, who did a lot of laps, gathered a lot of information, and this time didn't have any reliability issues that would cut their mileage. Williams had both Albon and Sainz running in today's session, and once again they surpassed 100 laps with both the Spaniard and the Thai driver. Albon drove in the morning, completing short stints late in the session without any reliability issues. This gave Albon a total of 55 laps, and in the afternoon Sainz was in charge of carrying out more short and long runs for the British team. The best time of the day for Williams was set by the Spaniard with a lap of 1:35.113, and between Sainz and Albon they managed to complete a total of 110 laps, which is a lower mileage than they had accumulated on previous days, but it's not a bad number at all. We'll see how they do tomorrow. Today Williams wraps up a positive and trouble-free day. Red Bull also faced issues in today's session, significantly reducing the team's mileage. Today, the car was exclusively driven by Isaac Hayar, who went out on track early, did some aerodynamic tests, but after 75 minutes and having completed 13 laps, he went back to the garage and didn't come out again in the morning due to a cooling issue with the power unit. In the afternoon, after fixing the problem, he went out and began with short stints before switching to reference runs near the session's end. Some long runs without experiencing problems again, where you could see the Red Bull in good shape, at least in that afternoon session on this preseason day. Hayar finished with 66 laps completed on this day, despite the problems, and the 6th fastest time of the day with a lap of 1:34.260. Tomorrow we should see more from Red Bull, hopefully without the problems they experienced today, and we are still waiting to see when Verstappen will do his much-anticipated race simulation to better understand the true potential of the Red Bull 22. Ferrari maintained strong preseason pace and high mileage with no major reliability problems. Leclerc was in charge of driving the car in the morning, and journalists quickly noticed the innovation the Italians have on the rear wing, which is a kind of flap that uses the exhaust gases to control the airflow of the diffuser. It's an innovation that attracts attention and is seen as a very aggressive take on the regulations. We'll keep watching. Leclerc, for his part, carried out his program with long runs, aerodynamic tests, and setup configurations, but overall, he completed 70 laps in the morning. And he finished the morning session with the best time of 1:33.739, just a 10th off Antonelli's best time from last Friday. In the afternoon, Hamilton had the car, and for the first time this preseason, they experienced a small problem, as a sensor failed, and that ended up slowing down his program today. It was actually a minor problem, and Hamilton still managed to complete 44 laps, giving Ferrari a total of 114 laps combined for the Italian team. And where the best time of the day for them was set by Leclerc in the morning. So, despite the problem they suffered, Ferrari ends the day in a productive and positive way, still leaving a very good impression, the people of the prancing horse. The world champion team once again had a trouble-free session, showing speed, consistency, and high mileage. In the morning, it was the world champion who was in charge of driving the car, completing 54 laps and finishing with the second best time of the morning. Until in the afternoon, he handed over the car to Oscar Piastri, who completed 70 laps on his own. And he took the opportunity to do some qualifying simulations, which allowed him to set the second best time of the day with a time of 1-33.469, beating the best preseason time that Antonelli had up to that point, and which had Piastri as the session's fastest driver. Until near the end of the session, Russell ended up beating it. But with 124 laps completed and several programs successfully carried out for McLaren, it can't be denied that it has been a positive day for the current world champions, although we still don't know exactly how they are in terms of pace. Mercedes ends the day on top again, but this time they've completed many laps without any reliability problems. And Antonelli must be the most grateful that this happened, since he was able to complete 69 laps in the morning, which were quite productive, as he had been one of those who had suffered the most from Mercedes' reliability issues. From very early in the session, he was setting a fast pace, did several long runs, although he did spend 45 minutes in the garage without going out because Mercedes, for safety reasons, started inspecting his car. That didn't prevent him from covering a high mileage, and in the afternoon, Russell was in charge of doing even more laps. He did several short stints, extremely consistent, and even treated himself to a qualifying simulation where he set the fastest time of the day and of the preseason so far with a time of 1-33.459. And on his own, he completed 76 laps, giving Mercedes a total of 145 laps combined today. So Mercedes leaves Wednesday as the team that completed the most laps, showing a lot of consistency and with the fastest time of the day. Tomorrow will be a different story, but today has been a complete turnaround from what we saw last week, and Mercedes is starting to show a bit more of their hand amid all the controversy about their engine and its compression. But ladies and gentlemen, with this we conclude the summary of the fourth day of Formula 1 preseason at the Bahrain circuit. We only have 2 sessions left, and at this point, we still can't draw any conclusions. And where we hope that starting tomorrow and on Friday, when we start to see the cars trying to get a bit more performance, we can really understand where each team stands ahead of the first race of the year. But anyway, with that, I'll say goodbye. See you tomorrow for the 5th day of this preseason.